They say home is where you should feel the safest, but what happens when your home becomes a prison, a living nightmare? This is Silent Hill 4 The Room retrospective. Silent Hill 4 The Room is a survival horror game, the fourth installment in the Silent Hill series, published by Konami and developed by Team Silent. The game was released in Japan in June of 2004 and in North America and Europe in September of the same year. Silent Hill 4 was released on PS2, Xbox, and Microsoft Windows. Unlike any other game in the previous installments, which were set primarily in the town of Silent Hill, this game is set in a southern part of a fictional city, South Asheville. Even though the game doesn't take place in Silent Hill directly, the story's antagonist was raised as an orphan from Wish House, which is located in Silent Hill and was run by the cult. Here is where Silent Hill 4's antagonist, Walter Sullivan, learned of the 21 Sacraments and the ritual of the Holy Assumption, which the player will learn more about as the game's story progresses. The game follows Henry Townshend as he attempts to escape to his locked apartment. During the course of the game, Henry explores a series of supernatural worlds and finds himself in a conflict with an undead serial killer.
What a dream.
Silent Hill 4 features an altered gameplay style with third-person navigation and plot elements taken from the previous installments. The game also featured first-person navigation while exploring the apartment. This was a new direction for the series, as none of the previous games featured first-person views. Henry awakens to find himself trapped inside of his apartment room. His front door has been chained, but from the inside. The last several days, Henry has been having several nightmares. He awakens to find his door chained from the inside. Who could have done this?
What the hell?
Would they not be trapped in as well?
What's going on?
Escaping the room soon becomes Henry's number one goal. How is he going to get out?
Oh man. Hope my luck changes before the party.
Silent Hill 4 is widely known as the black sheep of the series. While the game tries to take a different approach to the Silent Hill series, the game was received with mixed reviews. Many praised the game's crazy storyline, but were quick to criticize how the game departed from the darkness, the ambient atmosphere of Silent Hill 3. For instance, in this game, Henry does not use a flashlight, he does not use a radio, and there are very seldom any dark areas for Henry to explore, as many of the other worlds are well lit. This game does have a magnificent storyline. It's a story that will keep you compelled. Silent Hill 4 was actually my introduction to this series. It was the first Silent Hill game that I completed. And I completed this game because I loved the story. The story motivated me to keep going forward, and I think to this day is still possibly my second favorite story in the Silent Hill franchise. Many fans of the series critique Silent Hill 4's gameplay. Some of the reasons being the on-screen health display, the wind-up for your attack, certain features the last couple games didn't have. After an ominous hole appears in Henry's bathroom, he goes through, finds himself in an abandoned subway station where he meets Cynthia Velasquez. Cynthia comes on to Henry as a provocative woman who thinks that she is dreaming.
This is my dream, and you don't even know my name.
When playing the game, you'll shortly start to be able to tell that Henry has more of an introverted personality. Throughout the game, he comes off very awkward when engaging with other characters throughout his journeys. However, I feel like this was done on purpose to make Henry seem like more of a blank slate.
I'm kind of scared all alone. I'll do a special favor for you later. Wait a minute. I think I'm gonna puke.
After Cynthia becomes sick, Henry waits outside the bathroom. No longer willing to wait, he decides to enter and look for her. Though he finds that she is no longer in there, but there is another hole, so he decides to enter. After entering yet another anonymous hole, Henry wakes up in his bedroom, as if he were dreaming once again.
What? Another dream. But it seems so real. Is that really inside that woman's dream?
Upon returning to the apartment, Henry finds that a piece of furniture has been moved. After moving the furniture, he finds a gun, a note on the wall, and also a hole that peeps in through the neighbor. The scribe on the wall seems to be from the previous tenant, who also experienced similar experiences in the room that Henry is experiencing now. Through the hole in the wall, Henry can see his neighbor, Eileen Galvin. Throughout the game, Henry will check through the wall to make sure she's still alive and make sure she's still okay. But also, it seems a little creepy that Henry's able to just watch her without her knowing. Soon thereafter, Henry will hear his phone ring.
Where did you go?
It is Cynthia, and she is still trapped in the subway.
Save me.
So maybe Henry's not dreaming?
There's one here.
After receiving the phone call, Henry returns to the abandoned subway in search of Cynthia. Henry makes his way through the abandoned subway station to find Cynthia slain. Upon finding her laying there, covered in her own blood, Henry's not sure if she's alive or dead. He asks her if she's okay. Obviously, she's not okay. Someone has tried to kill her. She has numbers carved into her chest.
Right?
Henry's not the most
I think
enthusiastic
I drank too much
protagonist
last
in the
night.
Silent Hill series. He's more of an introvert and kind of an awkward guy. And some of his dialogue, you can see that.
I feel like I'm dying.
Okay. It's just a dream.
Upon waking back up in his apartment, Henry will look out his window, confirming what he just saw in the dream world. Cynthia did in fact die in the subway, right outside Henry's apartment. But who killed her?
Hurry up and get that ambulance. Quit yapping and move her already. Damn, she's got numbers carved into her chest. I wonder if...
After exploring the apartment, Henry will soon go back through the hole, and he will awaken it in another dream world. This time he awakens in a forest, not knowing exactly where he is. The forest world is probably one of the creepier levels in Silent Hill 4. It has a good atmosphere. It has a lot of good characteristics that a lot of the other worlds in this game lack, and I really felt like this was one of the more creepy dream worlds in the game. Henry soon comes across another character, Jasper Gain, who is sitting next to a strange rock. He seems to have a lot of knowledge about the area and keeps talking about a nosy guy.
A real nosy guy. But I was the one who found the stone first. In the old days, the natives called it Nakihona.
After working his way through the forest, Henry finds himself inside the orphanage wish house with Jasper. The place looks dirty, deserted, abandoned. After Henry reads some memos on the floor, he hears Jasper screaming in the next room. Smoke is emitting from the doorway. Henry opens the door to find Jasper burning alive. Once again, Henry wakes up in his room like it was a dream. He hears a radio dialogue talking about a 30-year-old man who was found burnt in the woods near Silent Hill.
The numbers 17121 were reportedly carved into the man's body. Due to the marks on the victim, the police are investigating possible links to the Walter Sullivan case 10 years ago.
This is the superintendent. Are you in there, Henry?
Help me! There's something wrong with this room! Help!
After the superintendent,
Let me out
Frank
of here!
Sunderland, comes knocking on Henry's door, and yes, I did say Frank Sunderland, as in James Sunderland. This is his dad. He's the superintendent of the apartments. Frank beats on the door, hollers for Henry, but hears nothing in return, even though Henry is begging him to open the door. After exploring the apartment, Henry climbs back through the hole in the bathroom and finds himself in another world. He wakens in a damp, dark, nasty-looking place. As he arises to his feet, he can hear a man crying in the distance, pleading out for help. Henry finds himself in a children's prison, a water prison.
Water's gonna kill me. Kill me.
After Henry works his way through the water prison, discovering several things along the way, he finds his next victim, Andrew DeSalvo. It seems as if everyone that Henry comes in contact with becomes the next victim. This so-called Walter Sullivan is killing everyone that Henry comes in contact with. DeSalvo, Cynthia, Jasper. Once again, Henry wakes up in his apartment as he returns from the dream world.
Resident of the Springfield Zoo gave birth to a healthy baby walrus pup named Buttercup. Mother and child are doing just fine.
After once again exploring Henry's apartment, he returns through the hole. This time he finds himself surrounded by buildings. He doesn't know where he is. Henry wakes up, face first on the ground. He can hear commotion in the distance. He's in the building world. As Henry is exploring the building world, he comes across Richard Braintree, who falls out of the fucking sky. Somehow he's not dead though. Him and Henry talk. Braintree seems to recognize Henry from the apartment building. They are neighbors. Richard goes on to question Henry about how they got where they are. They both seem very confused. Richard says that he believes something is wrong with the entire apartment building.
What other guy? The guy who lived in 302 before you.
Richard goes on to talk about the former tenant in room 302, the guy who lived in 302 before Henry moved in there. He goes on to talk about how he as well locked himself inside his room amongst strange other happenings. As Henry works his way through the building world, he comes across Richard again, who seems to have found little Walter, the little boy who's been seen several times throughout the game. Richard is then seen questioning little Walter and chasing him about with a gun.
Are you the kid he was talking about? You live in that apartment too, huh? Say, you look a lot like a little punk that I once caught sneaking around there. Do you know something about what's going on? Hey, you! Stop!
Henry then begins to believe that Braintree himself might be the next victim. As he's being chased by the spirits of former victims, he works his way towards where he believes Braintree is. Sure enough, as soon as Henry finds Braintree, he is strapped to an electric chair. Little Walter is also in the room.
2, 1.
Upon Henry waking back up from the dream world, he's back in his apartment. He looks out his window at room 207. He can see a man in a coat pointing across the way at room 303. That is Eileen's room.
121 on his head. It's just like that case from 10 years ago. Yeah, that Walter Sullivan case. But Sullivan's dead. They even got the body. Must be some crazy copycat. Yeah, but even so...
As Henry once again peeks in on Eileen, he sees that she is getting ready for a party. Henry then becomes very wary that she herself might be the next victim. As Henry prepares to enter the hole once again, he notices that it is growing even bigger. Henry soon wakes up in apartment world. Yes, apartment world. He is outside room 302, but something is different. Henry sees the strange man in the coat. He is knocking on room 303. That is Eileen's room. Henry now has a strong belief that she is in danger.
What the hell is this?
Soon, Henry comes across the man in the coat. He is sitting on the stairs of the apartment.
I got this from Miss Galvin. A long time ago. She was younger than me back then. She looked so happy, holding her mother's hand. Here, I'll give it to you.
As Henry works his way through the apartment world, he soon gets to Eileen's room, but it's too late. Eileen has been attacked. She was the next victim.
You can't. Thanks. Did you find your mommy? This place? It's dangerous. You need to hurry. Get out of here.
Devastated, Henry drops to his knees. Yet another victim he could not protect from Walter Sullivan. Soon after, Henry wakes up in the floor of a strange hospital. Henry begins to realize that he too is in danger from Walter Sullivan. Walter is trying to complete the 21 sacraments. Henry discovers that he is part of the 21 sacraments, and that he is the next victim. Henry believes that Eileen might still be alive. He searches the hospital for clues. After working his way through the strange hospital, Henry finds Eileen. She's badly injured, but she's still alive.
Henry? From next door. What are you doing here?
I don't know where to start. There was this strange hole in my room. I saw people getting killed. All these weird other worlds.
After Henry finds Eileen, this kicks off the longest escort mission, in which Henry must escort Eileen back through all the dream worlds. This kicks off the second half of the game. The player will find themselves backtracking through all the areas you have already visited to this point. This is when the game can become frustrating for many. Many fans criticize this particular choice by the developers. Most see it as a lazy choice by the team and lack of creativity, although I cannot say that this is my personal feeling.
Boy protected me from the man with the coat.
The player will revisit familiar areas such as the subway, the forest world, water prison, building world, and the apartment world, while solving different puzzles than before and discovering new areas in those worlds. Also, Henry and Eileen will have to deal with the ghosts of the victims, all of which Henry seen perish in the earlier stages. Cynthia, Jasper, Andrew, and Richard will all now stalk the player in each of the areas as a spirit and can be relentless in their pursuit. The only way to put a stop to them is by finding a rare item known as the Sword of Obedience, which can pin the spirits and stop their pursuit. Also, for the majority of the game, Henry's apartment acts as a safe haven for the player, even healing Henry upon each visit. But at the halfway point of this game, this is no longer the case. Henry's apartment will become haunted by ghosts that will harm Henry if he gets too close. However, the player can rid the apartment of all hauntings by using various items such as holy candles or a saint's medallion, which will temporarily banish the spirits. Throughout this escort mission of Eileen, she will attempt to help Henry fight off the ghosts and other various creatures encountered in the other world. Though Eileen can be effective in helping clear out some of the enemies, she will also take a lot of damage and start to become taken over by the other world. This is important to the outcome of the game. Depending on how much damage Eileen takes will affect the end of the game. However, Eileen can be healed throughout the game by placing holy candles near her. It will rid her of any and all possessions. However, even if Eileen takes a massive amount of damage, she won't actually die during the escort. She will only become more increasingly possessed, which only affects the ending. So it's really up to how you as the player decide to play out this scenario. Also, through the second half of this game, Walter himself will stalk Eileen and Henry as he tries to finish the 21 sacrifices. As Henry and Eileen continue to find a way out of Walter's nightmarish world, they come across the otherworld version of Room 302, where they find the ghost of Joseph Schreiber, who tells them the only way out is to kill Walter, in one of the best cutscenes in the Silent Hill series. Walter Sullivan's attachment to Room 302 stems from his birth. Walter's mother gave birth to him in Room 302. However, Walter's parents did not want him, so his parents fled overnight, leaving young Walter abandoned in the room, where he would later be found by Superintendent Frank Sunderland. Later, Walter would grow up as an orphan of Wish House, where he grew to believe that Room 302 itself was in fact his mother.
When he was a little boy, he began to believe that my apartment was actually his birth mother. He decided to free her from the stains and corruption of this world. At the orphanage, he learned of the 21 sacraments, the only way to purify her. He then performed the ceremony of the Holy Assumption, and created this twisted world. Well, he's dead now, but he's still trying to complete the 21 sacraments. His boyhood desire to return to the bosom of his birth has divided him. Now his child self has manifested itself in this world, and soon he's planning to finish his work, the 21 sacraments. Number 20, the Mother Reborn, Eileen Galvin. Number 21, the Receiver of Wisdom, Henry Townsend. Even now, it may not be too late. Follow the crimson tone. Stop him. If not, wherever you run, he will catch you. Find him. His true location. It must be nearby. You must kill him. You must kill him. Kill. 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 Hurry. She's taken over. She's number 20. The mother was born. The crimson tone. Obey the crimson tone. Kill him. Must kill him. Kill. Kill.
After hearing from Joseph's spirit, Henry finds a pickaxe which he uses to break through the wall in the hallway of his apartment, revealing a blocked-up storage room where Henry will find the corpse of Walter Sullivan, who has been using his twisted spirit world to finish the 21 sacraments. Shortly after, Henry finds himself face to face with Walter's spirit, as Eileen, seemingly possessed and walking mindlessly towards an Event Horizon-style death trap. The goal here is to defeat Walter before Eileen kills herself. Like I said previously, depending on how much damage she has taken will determine how slowly or quickly Eileen walks towards the death trap. This is the game's finale. The game is finished upon defeating Walter, and depending on the player's choices throughout the game will determine which ending you receive.
Hey there, little Walter. Just a little longer now.
Henry, you're it. The last of the 21 sacraments. The final sign. The receiver of wisdom.
Silent Hill 4: The Room, viewed as the black sheep of the first 4 titles in the series, and it does, still to this day, have a cult following amongst fans, including myself. Say what you will, but my personal feelings towards this game is that it is one of the best and most intriguing stories to be told in the series. In my personal opinion, this game and its story have continued to be the most underrated in the Silent Hill franchise. Changes made and gameplay criticisms aside, I love Silent Hill 4 the game, and I will always view its story as one of the best in the series.